to prepare. Well, I think we are streaming now on YouTube. Hello, I think we got some behind the scenes footage of me talking even before I knew we were live, which is really exciting. So,
right in the action.
Right into the whole theme of behind the scenes of Tosca. I am Kathryn Frady, Executive Artistic Director for Marble City Opera, and I am so glad that you're choosing to join us this evening for Behind the Scenes of Tosca. Our upcoming production is June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Coming up right here at the St. John's Cathedral at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are so excited that we are going to be able to offer in-person performances and also online streaming performances of this production. So welcome, Marya. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I just want to give our audience just a little bit of insight to what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're going to be talking about the plot and the cast and the crew, the orchestra, the chorus, St. John's as a venue, the costumes that I'm surrounded by. We may even talk about some of the props that you also might be able to see here right now. The concept, we're going to talk to you a little bit about how you can buy tickets, how you can see the production in person or online, and some of the protocols that we'll have in place to keep you all healthy and safe. And so that's, what we're going to talk about. First up, let me just tell you who we have playing the roles in Tosca. So as you may know, I am also a soprano, and this is one of my favorite roles. And I had the opportunity to first cover the role in England with a company there. And so that was my first experience, just watching another soprano really stage the role, sing the role, get to sing, learn all of the music, and be there taking notes, so I could really understand the role. And it's one of my favorite ways actually to get to know a role, is really being in the room when somebody else is staging it, because you get all of that great information from the directors and the conductors, and watching another person really take the role and bring it to life. And so it was a great experience. And then my second experience with Tosca was singing it at the Helena Symphony, and it was a concert version. So also really exciting to sing with orchestra and on a big stage with an amazing cast. This will actually be my first staged production of it, so I am really excited. I have 3 very special singing experiences with Tosca, let alone performances that I've seen that have just been off the charts. I remember one with Opera Carolina where I was just like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I love this show. I remember actually I also worked on it behind the stage as a stage manager once. I called the show, and I've always thought this opera was amazing. So then next up we have Brandon Evans playing Cavaradossi, and Brandon is no stranger to our stage. He's worked with Marya on a couple of shows. They did Postcard from Morocco together. He was also in our Pagliacci and Traviata at Historic Westwood. So we're glad that he's coming back. Jacob Lassiter is going to be making his Marble City Opera debut in the role of Scarpia. And I'm so excited to work with him. He is actually one of the reasons why we're doing Tosca. He came and auditioned for Marble City Opera a few years ago and sang the Te Deum, which is Scarpia's Act 1 aria. And I was like, yes. Brandon Gibson and I looked at each other when he left and said, okay, yeah, I think we have to do Tosca. So we're super excited he's coming. And we also have David Crawford, who is a regular at the Metropolitan Opera, who will be singing the role of Angelotti for us. And he is thankfully here in Knoxville with us. So he's one of our local singers who just, regularly, casually sings at the Metropolitan Opera. Mm-hmm. So we're excited to work with him too. And I'm going to start asking Marya some questions before we get to the rest of the cast. So Marya, tell us, what is your experience with Tosca? How have you seen a production before? Have you directed one before? Normally I give you some really new opera works. So how is directing traditional opera different than preparing something new?
Well, I don't have as much of a history with Tosca. I've actually never performed in it. I've never really seen it live. I've only seen productions online. I've known about it. You know, I do have a master's in voice performance, so I know of Tosca. I know what it is. You know, I know Puccini. You know, all those things, but I've never actually um, seen a production live. So I'm really excited to work on this. I've never directed a Tosca production. And as you said, yes, I'm greener in my directing, but I have directed two shows with Marble City Opera. Both were US premieres, and they were newer works. So this is also a new element for me doing a traditional piece. But I have, you know, done my research and I have watched several different productions. There's so many different, I think, I think the beauty of Tosca is that it is such a traditional piece, and it does revolve around such a specific time in history, that a lot of things are very similar about most productions of it, but everyone kind of chooses little differences. And I think especially with the character development and how each character is played. Um, so I've there's this production with Bryn Terfel as the Scarpia. And I really like how he portrays Scarpia. He's very still, but you still have this intensity from him that is very villainous, very authoritarian. And I really enjoyed that. He's very stoic, very powerful. And I feel like that's really what Scarpia captures in this villainous type of character. And he doesn't really need a whole lot. He commands a presence in a way. And yeah, and so I've also seen a couple other ones online, and I like different aspects of all of them. I really like Robert Alagna's portrayal of Cavaradossi. He's very playful. He's very romantic. He's very just captures, I feel like, so much of what Cavaradossi is and what he stands for. But when it's time to stand up and be the revolutionary, to have honor, I think he does a very good job with that. But he really makes you fall in love with him. And I think one of the aspect of this show that makes you kind of a reprieve from some of the seriousness is the love story between Mario and Tosca. It's what spirals all of the drama and all of the sadness and all of the anger, but it also is the thing that we look at and we just smile, and it makes us happy. It makes us feel so many different things. And then there's also another production with the Finnish National Opera. And I really enjoyed that torture scene because that's another aspect of this show that is very, how do you portray that? Everyone portrays it differently. Everyone has their own take on it. And what really, I think, sells the torture is that interaction between Scarpia and Tosca, because you don't necessarily need to see what's going on. You don't need to hear what's going on, but you feel it in the intensity of the music, and you feel it in the intensity of how Tosca reacts. And that Tosca in that production, she really makes you viscerally feel just how tortured she is by Mario being tortured. So it's, you know, it's a toss up. I think there's so many different people that pull off Tosca very well, that it's such a grandeur type of opera. And I think a lot of opera houses that perform it, they throw out all the stops. And I think for us, it's going to be fun and interesting to be in this venue that really caters to the storyline, but also that, you know, we're not in a traditional theater. So I think that's going to be cool. But yeah,
yeah.
so that's
no, yeah. Before we get to the venue,
yeah.
why don't we? I love that you love those pieces, and it makes so much sense why, you know, and I think, you know, singing actors can really just like help, you know, the director, you know, and in collaboration with the conductor and the director, really bring a piece to life. So it's really cool that you found some performers who were really doing that for you.
Yeah.
But why don't you tell us a little bit about the plot of Tosca? So I'll back up just a little bit.
We'll back up. So yeah, as I said before, Tosca kind of takes place in this time that's a very politically unstable time in Italy. You know, there's this French Revolution happening. Napoleon is taking over, and the threat of Napoleon invading Italy is kind of the spur of why, Angelotti is an escaped prisoner. He's a revolutionary. He's seeking refuge in the church. He's trying to hide because his sister, the Attavanti, she attends that church. They have a chapel there. She leaves him, clothes, a key, all these things, in order to help him hide. And it's the same woman who actually is being painted by the painter Mario Cavaradossi, who enters in after Angelotti. He's been painting what he calls the Mary Magdalene, but everyone who sees it says that it resembles the Marchesa Attavanti, who had been in the chapel praying a day earlier.
Tosca does not like that.
Tosca does not like that. She comes in, she recognizes the resemblance too, and she does not like that. Tosca is she's a very jealous woman, but a very intense woman, and she gets what she wants. She's a performer. She is an opera singer, so she is the diva grandeur. She comes in and sees the painting that Mario's painting, and she's like, paint her eyes black, because the Marchesa has blue eyes, and Tosca has black eyes or brown eyes, like that. Yeah.
I mean, really, Mario, how dare you? I mean, you're supposed to be in love with the brown-haired, brown-eyed girl. Why are you painting blue eyes? It just doesn't make any sense. No. And we have, I mean, in Act 1 is packed full of just like jealousy and intrigue and secrecy, and it's really exciting. Sorry, continue.
And as much as jealousy and intrigue, there's also, you get to see a little tinkling of Tosca and Mario's love. She flirts with him. She tells him about their plans, and he's trying to rush her out of there because he knows that Angelotti is hiding, and he has offered to help Angelotti. They're old friends. He's trying to get her out of there, so she leaves after she tells him to paint her eyes black. And then Angelotti comes out. They make a plan to escape, but then they are interrupted by the cannon fire, which you'll hear in the orchestra, and that has signaled that they know that the prisoner has escaped. So now they know everyone is looking for them. They know Scarpia will be after him and all of Scarpia's men. So they immediately leave the church. And then at the same time, there was news of this defeat of Napoleon. So the sacristan and the churchgoers are all celebrating. They're celebrating the defeat of Napoleon. So they're singing, and then they're interrupted by Scarpia, who is saying, "Why are you making a mockery of the church?" And so after that, Scarpia is searching the church. He, questions the sacristan, and they're trying to find Angelotti because they know that he had been hiding there. They find his hiding spot. They find the fan of the Marchesa Attavanti. Then they see Mario's painting, and he's like, that looks like the Attavanti. And he's like, there's something strange happening here. And he connects the two, that Mario and Angelotti are together hiding, and that Mario is probably hiding Angelotti. Then Tosca storms in her jealousy. She's looking for Mario. She's like, where are you? And Scarpia, of course, uses this to his advantage to get information / also bend Tosca to his will. He's like, oh, well, is this a painter's tool? And he's pointing to the fan, because I found it here. And she's like, no. And she realizes it's the Attavanti's fan. And she goes into a jealous fit. And, Scarpia is kind of just egging it on slowly and kind of watching her. And then she gets all upset, and she's about to have a tantrum, and he's like, you're in church. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry. And then he escorts her out, or he helps her up. She cries, she gets upset, all those things. And then Scarpia.
Before we get to Act 2, Marya, I don't want to cut you off, but we do have another behind the scenes episode that is doing a whole plot exciting event. So as you can tell, Act 1 is jam-packed with like really exciting moments. So Marya, tell us, like, there's so much. This is just all of this detail that you're giving us is all act one.
Yeah.
But we're singing in Italian.
Yes.
So how does the audience understand what's going on if they don't already have like a very, exclusive knowledge of this opera? How can they understand? How can they come to the production and hear us singing in Italian and know what's going on?
Well, I think with the way that the show will unfold, as well as we are going to be including some narrations that will kind of be a little tidbit of each act, so that before every act that is shown, you'll get the story of what's happening in the act. So even if they don't know Italian and they don't know the story of the opera, they'll kind of have a summary before they even see what's going on. So, when we mention this and it happens in the show, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's because of that, or that's because of that. So I think if the people coming to view it that don't have a huge background in opera or Italian, I think if they just leave their mind open to, and their hearts open, I think, to just feeling things, I think they'll understand a lot more of what's going on rather than needing to like break it down and really know exactly every single thing.
Absolutely. I think that's the beauty of opera, is that even in times when I've seen operas that are the first time I'm experiencing them and I have super titles right in front of me, I don't like to look at the super titles. I want to watch the singers and the actors, and I want to listen to the music. I want to feel it, wash over me. And so I think that, also with the staging that you're going to be doing, we'll be doing a lot of really detailed storytelling. You'll be able to hear it in the singers' voices. So even if you don't understand Italian and you think, wow, this is a really big plot to understand, we will also be having another behind the scenes that talks just about the plot. And so you can watch that right before you go into the performance. And we'll be giving you, as Marya said, some synopsises with characters, and it won't be broken up. It'll be all part of the action. And you're going to love it. Just sit there and enjoy it. It's fabulous. The music, it's Puccini, and Puccini does so much of the work for all of us. I mean, I think that that's one of the great things about Tosca is the composer Puccini is an incredible master at storytelling. There are not, in some operas, they repeat themselves a lot, to get across the point. Well, not in Puccini. It's all in real time. You're singing it as it's happening. And Act 2 is so intense that you actually feel like when you get to the end of it as a performer, what just happened? How did we get here? Because it's really happening in real time. And so it's very, very exciting and thrilling, I think. Wouldn't you agree, Marya?
I definitely agree. I agree. I do
Awesome.
have to say, if anyone's looking for something fun to watch before the show, there is a YouTube video out there. It's called Opera in Brief, and I believe it's by Dallas Opera, and I really love it. It's really cute. It's a little cartoon about the plot, and it involves Princess Peach and Bowser from Mario. So I think,
Nice.
especially if you're not from an opera background or know much about the show, I think you'd really enjoy that, and it would be an easy way to kind of understand a little bit more going into it. So
Absolutely.
I throw that out there.
Absolutely. So we've met the characters. Marya's been telling us about Tosca and Cavaradossi and Scarpia, and we've even heard about Angelotti, but we haven't quite heard yet about, first of all, we also in Act 1 see the sacristan, which actually he gives us a little bit of comic relief. And he is going to be played by Daniel Spoyota, who is new to Knoxville, and we're really excited that he's here. He's from Tennessee, and so this will be his Marble City Opera debut. And also, who we also meet in Act 1 are Sciarrone and Spoletta. So these characters are being played by two Knoxville favorites, Maurice Hendricks and Breon Ewing, who have both been in Marble City Opera shows and Knoxville Opera shows and perform all around town. So we're really excited that they will be joining us too. We have one more character who's in the show, and she is playing the role of Shepherd Boy, and you may have seen her in our last production of Royal Flush. Her name is Kayla Beard, also Marble City Opera's administrative director. So normally the Shepherd Boy sings off stage, but Marya, the fabulous stage director that she is, and willing to collaborate in a wonderful way, takes my crazy ideas. And I actually stole this idea from the production of Tosca in London, but our Shepherd Boy will be a homeless person. And so you will actually get to see and meet Kayla in the production instead of just hearing a voice off stage. So do you have any little side pieces about the Shepherd Boy and how you're going to handle her becoming a homeless person?
I think it's really not too much of a shift. I think with the way that that music is written and what the singer is singing about, and that they're talking about it being the nighttime, and I send you so many sighs, and I feel like it's just someone who's having a hard life or hard, because if it's a shepherd boy, they're at work, they're working. If we're translating that into being a homeless person having a hard life, they have to go out every day and work and try and find food and shelter and money. And I think it's an easy transition, and the venue will help with that. So
Absolutely. So speaking of the venue, we are at the fabulous St. John's Cathedral, and you may have seen our production of Swear Angelica there, or our production of Amal and the Night Visitors. And we love collaborating with St. John's. They're fabulous collaborative partners, and we're so excited to be not just performing in the cathedral or the courtyard, but the cathedral and the courtyard and the Great Hall. So it's a really exciting opportunity for us to really take each act into the space that the act requires. So Act 1 all takes place in the cathedral, as Marya mentioned, where Mario is painting and Angelotti is hiding and Scarpia is playing on Tosca's jealousies. And then we move to Act 2, where we will be in the Great Hall, which actually is where Scarpia's office is. And so do you want to give us just like a very brief, just kind of like idea of what to expect in Act 2?
Yeah, I'm gonna be more. I went a little ahead of myself in Act 1. I'm sorry. Yeah, Act 2. Scarpia wants to meet Tosca. He wants to find out where Angelotti is. He finds out they've captured Mario. There's a torture scene. They're trying to get information. He's trying to do whatever he can to play on Tosca's love for Mario and all of those things. He also is trying to have his way with her. We have kind of discover in Act 1, he has these feelings for her, and he basically gives her these choices and says, pick this or this. Either Mario lives, either Mario dies. It's up to you. I will have my way with you. And if not, I will kill your lover. And so there's this huge struggle in Act 2 between Tosca and Scarpia. She decides her fate to submit to Scarpia in order to save Mario. However, there's a twist because she finds a way out of it through basically killing Scarpia. And she
basically,
yeah. She that's kind of like, and it's kind of this pivotal moment because you see this character who before she's like a pillar of society, she is very kind of pious and holy, and in her religion and all those things. So you see this woman being driven to madness. She's kind of mad already, but driven even more so to madness. And
it could actually be called the fall of Tosca, couldn't it? In some ways, yeah, because she does start as really devoted to God and just continues to make these choices that lead her down a path of destruction in a sense. So very exciting to play. And that leads us to Act 3, which will be in the courtyard. And Act 3 is going to be in the courtyard because it's actually happening on the rooftop of the St. Angelo Castle in Rome. And So we will be pretending we're on a rooftop when we're outside there. So, but it's going to also be a very exciting moment, I think, for all of us. So we're, doing a whole moving through the space. We'll take a little bit of time between each act to move everybody. And the orchestra, which we have 13 people in the orchestra, and they will also be moving from space to space with all of us. We have a chorus. The chorus is very small. We have about 2 people on a part. So they're all working as soloists, and they go from playing the choir in the church to being the choir at the Bijou Theater, where they are performing with Tosca. And you'll hear them from a distance while Scarpia is torturing Cavaradossi, and then soldiers. The men become soldiers in Act 3. So very exciting, fairly big cast. So how are those challenges for you, Marya, having a big cast during, with COVID protocols and keeping everybody healthy and safe and distanced, and how do you handle all of that?
Yeah. Well, I think just, this is going to be like my first experience. I was talking to Kathryn earlier. I am my first show back in about a year or two since everything shut down. But I think we are striving to keep everyone as safe as possible. Being distanced when we can be distanced, wearing masks, all those things will help keep everyone safe. Will help keep everyone comfortable because at the end of the day, that's one of the most important things. And we value that highly. I value that highly. I know Kathryn does. So I think that is going to be, I think everyone's just going to be super happy to be able to come and make music again together and create a show again together. And I think that, I think we're just excited, and we'll all do whatever we can to keep everyone safe.
Absolutely. So we have all of our COVID protocols that are in place, as Marya's mentioning: mask wearing in rehearsal, socially distant staging when necessary. But the great news is that 99% of the cast is fully vaccinated. So it's really exciting to be moving into that rehearsal with that underway. And so we can all have an extra layer of safety there, and wearing masks when not fully vaccinated. So it's a really fabulous situation. And the audience will be masked and socially distant. The orchestra will be socially distant from one another. So I think, we're going to be able to tell this story in a really convincing and dramatic way, while still keeping everyone safe. And that's also why we have the filmed version of this production. So if you still don't feel safe to come in person, or you don't like wearing a mask and so you'd rather watch it on your television, that option is there for you. We have some 3 or 4 film crew guys who are going to be coming and filming the production, and it's going to be a fabulous way to view Tosca as well. So, concept. Tell me a little bit about your concept, including like where are we going with the costumes? You can see some of the costumes here behind me.
Yes. Well, so before diving into Tosca, I wasn't really sure like time period wise, and all of those things. But when you dive into the story more and you kind of understand the background, the time period does play a part into it due to the political unrest, but we can relate to that in, I think every aspect of history. But I think that the feel for this is going more towards almost like with some of the men, a little more steampunky. What with steampunk, you still get that feel of Victorian, and I think we definitely feel that Victorian type of style, especially in Tosca's appearance. And so I think that all ties together. But we have the Victorian kind of era, but we also have like the kind of steampunky modern type of feel of the men, especially like Scarpia and his henchmen, who have like these buckles on their pants and their, their jackets with zippers and compartments. I think it adds like a fantasy element to it that I'm really, I think is really cool. And I think that really applies well, especially to Scarpia and the henchmen and kind of the bad guys, because they are kind of this horror character. I was reading somewhere that said that Puccini's Verissimo opera was like the predecessor to like thrillers. So wow. I think that their costumes really capture that. And I don't know if you want to like, you know, I know some of
Oh
them are
yeah.
out there.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll do a little Vanna White for you. So right over here, we have an Act One Tosca jacket that is actually going to be going with a skirt and a hat. So that's a little bit of the Victorian, and it also has like just like kind of a nod to steampunk as well. Um, and then to my left here is Scarpia's jacket. So this is one of his jackets that he wears. Obviously, you can see one of Tosca's dresses in the background. She does famously wear red in Act Two, but Marya wanted to soften her up in Act One, which I think is really nice. And so she has the blue for Act One. Yeah, the costumes I think are going to be fantastic.
And in terms of concept, everything else, what is going to be really great is we have a venue to play with here. And I'll say this every time I work with Marble City Opera, the venues that we get to um, put these shows on in really help to portray the story and really help to put you in the action, put you in the emotion, which I think for Tosca is one of the most important things. You have to feel it. You have to want to cry, you have to want to scream and all those things. And I think that capturing those emotions is going to be what is the greatest part. And these rooms, these venues, the different parts that we're doing the acts in are really going to put you in, like make you feel like you're in the action, which I think is always a plus to a Marble City Opera production. And not to mention just like, I'm really excited about the singers and it's just going to be powerful. It's going to be a powerful experience.
Yay! So exciting. So, do you have a favorite character?
Yeah.
I think I already know.
Yeah, definitely Scarpia, and not just it's because I have always had a fascination with villains. You know, when I watch like Marvel superhero movies or whatever, I like the villains the best. You know, like I like Voldemort the best. Like I just I have this fascination, and I have a fascination with crime as well, with true crime, with murder, with serial killers. I'm not crazy, I promise.
I'm getting more and more nervous to go to
Like,
rehearsal.
no, but I think there's a fascination with the psyche of villains, with the psyche of murderers, with the psyche of people who are willing to commit these outrageous acts that people like you and me, like we wouldn't think to do, we wouldn't think on that level. And so I think it's really cool to dive into that. And, I obviously like to choose a favorite. I mean, there are three very strong characters between Tosca, Mario, and Scarpia. I just tend towards the darkness. So
It's one of the reasons why I thought this would be a good piece for you. I mean, if I don't know if any of you all have seen a Marya Berry production through Marble City Opera, but she has directed Nero monologues at the Candoro Marble, and she directed these were both U.S. premieres, and City of Ashes at the Church of Ascension. Both of them, obviously, dealing with Nero. There was a lot of darkness. In that character and in that piece. And City of Ashes, I mean, my goodness. Yeah, all about women in Berlin, or I guess they were in Paris, right?
they were in Berlin.
They were in Berlin, and being raped, being raped victims after the war. So, I mean, Marya is, while she has like this great aesthetic that plays really well into some of these really dark and passionate and like really intense themes. She's very sensitive to the singers and to the cast and to the audience and how she portrays them. And so I think that's one of the reasons why I thought, Marya, I still think you were surprised when I called you and said, hey, can you direct Tosca?
I definitely was.
But in my season, I just thought, this is the one for you.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I was surprised. Tosca is it's such a traditional classic like piece. And yeah, I was surprised, but I'm very, very grateful, very, very grateful. I do I love I never knew that directing was going to be something that I love to do until I just was given opportunities to express that and to kind of do these things, through Marble City Opera and through school and all the things. And just something that fell into my lap, but it just makes so much sense now. And I do love it. And I'm still learning every day, and I think that's the beauty about this industry is just, continuing to learn, continuing to grow. Can you continue to push yourself? This is a great growing experience for me to be doing a traditional piece, to be doing such a big piece that is Tosca. And I can't wait.
That's exciting. So is there anything that's like really stands out to you as being really different, directing a piece like Tosca that has so much history and tradition to it versus directing a new piece that you get to kind of put your stamp on?
Yeah, no. So in the past when I've directed newer things, um, you don't really have a lot of background to go off of other than just knowing the story of the piece. And then there might be one other, I mean, the last two shows I did with Marble City Opera, The City of Ashes and Nero Monologues, there was only one other production that I could really see, and kind of, come up with my own concept for it. But with Tosca, you probably have about 1 million productions, you can find online. And then there's probably another million that I've never seen because they've only been, in-person performances. And so Tosca for me has always been a piece that I've heard about, didn't necessarily know a lot about, not really seen in person. When I was a singer, I wasn't singing Tosca rep when I was a singer. I was singing Puccini, but I wasn't singing Tosca. But as you mentioned earlier, studying this and really working with this, and coming from a singing background, Puccini is one of those composers who really does write everything in there for you. And he really does kind of guide the drama, the uncovering of the story through the way he writes the music. I remember being a voice student and having my voice teacher tell me, she's like, do everything Puccini tells you in the score, do everything Puccini, he writes it in there that way. And I think when I first approached this, I was like, I had the mindset of what I did when I had the 2 US premieres, but then I had to kind of take a step back and be like, this is totally different. You are like basically putting together something that already has a structure. It already has you don't have to redefine it, because with the other 2 pieces, I feel like I definitely came in and I really just had a vision. I added this, I added that, whatever. And this is just so rooted in tradition. It's also a huge piece. But I think what's great is going into it and exploring these emotions and exploring these characters, the character development. And I think that's what is so fun about this piece is you really get to dive into the characters and how you kind of want them to come across. So
Yeah.
That's
really cool. It's really cool. Well, I know that we're going to have fun. We haven't started rehearsal yet. We start tomorrow. So this is behind the scenes, we are waiting on with every anticipation, with excitement, for everyone to be arriving into town today and to see them tomorrow and to start the music. I mean, it's very exciting. Leading the music and the orchestra and the ensemble is Maestro Brian Holman, who you may remember from Shadowlight. He is no stranger to Marble City Opera stage and no stranger to us putting shows in strange venues. He first conducted La Traviata with us at Historic Westwood, where we actually moved from room to room. So even that is familiar to him. And I think Tosca in this way, the rooms are much larger. So I think he'll be a little happier. He can see us at all times. And he also conducted our world premiere of Shadowlight at the Beck Cultural Center. So this will be Marya and Brian's first time collaborating as director and conductor, but Marya did work with us in La Traviata as a chorus member. So yeah, she
Crazy.
has a,
The
yeah,
work.
isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so
It's
crazy.
cool. It's pretty cool. So is there anything that people should either expect that's different, or like, or that's the same, or is there something that they shouldn't expect from a production of Tosca that they've seen before?
I don't
Or
know.
should they expect to have a good time?
Yeah, definitely expect to have a good time. I mean, maybe a little sad in there, maybe a little more remorse after.
That's true. I mean, it is a drama. I
Yeah.
keep thinking about doing this comedy version.
Hey, you know
But
what?
that's
You know what makes the great comic relief is a nice dance number. That's what I.
absolutely. Well, I mean, I might be seen dancing off stage in Act 2 with the chorus. I mean, there may be a moment that I might be dancing. That music always makes me want to dance.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. It's not really dancing quality music, but anything else?
Yeah, I I don't think. I mean, I think this will lay out more like a traditional show for the most part, but definitely, I think Act 3, it'll definitely be interesting. I think that's what have most anticipation about. That's the one. I think it'll be really cool. I think the audience is gonna have a lot of fun. So yeah, look out for Act 3.
Act 3, absolutely. We have some tricks up our sleeves
Yeah.
in case of rain. So
Yes.
yeah, the show will go on, and we'll have some tricks up our sleeves that will be special for that night, and it's going to be really great.
Opera magic.
Opera magic. That's right. Well, thank you so much, Marya, for joining me tonight and talking to us a little bit about your concept and your love for this piece and the different characters, and like telling us all about who these characters are, what they're going to be wearing. And I'm just so excited to start the rehearsal process with you. Just to remind everybody, Tosca is premiering at St. John's Cathedral, downtown Knoxville, on June 3rd, 4th, and 5th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're not in Knoxville and you still want to see the show, you can still buy a ticket and watch it online. If you are in Knoxville, but we sell out, or you don't want to come in person, you can watch it online. So we have those tickets available online as well. All tickets are on our website, marblecitybopera.com/tickets, and you can purchase for in-person or online. Also, just as a insider tip, since we're doing behind the scenes, if you buy an in-person ticket, you will also get a link to the performance. So you can see it twice. You can come in person and then you can watch it again later. So little insider tip there for you. We are so excited. We hope that you will join us. Reserve those tickets. They're selling fast. And we hope that you'll see us at Tosca June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Thanks so much. Have a great night.